This is a 40k a month lead being qualified all by AI, and I guarantee you that this will be the most profitable implementation that you ever make for a business. Forget fancy funnels and the new shiny piece of software. The fastest way for you to increase revenue is simply just to speak to the leads that you have coming through already quicker than all of your competitors do. Today, using CloseBot and Go High Level, I'm going to build out a two-way SMS system that is not a nice to have, it's an absolute necessity. I'm going to build the entire workflow from scratch so that you can follow along, and you will be able to, by the end of this video, implement this for any business and boost their conversion rates, boost their revenue, literally for any business that you implement it into. Let's jump in. This is CloseBot, and when it comes down to increasing revenue for businesses, this is the #1 tool that I use. This directly impacts revenue. It can handle WhatsApp, Facebook and socials. It can handle SMS. It can handle email, two-way backwards and forwards. It's a beast. So let's jump in. I'm going to log into the interface, but what I'm going to show you is this. This is the flow. Don't gasp. This is the flow that we've just seen run through in the intro. But this is where we're going to start. So you have no worries, nothing to worry about. I'm going to run you through it. This individual flow handled the inquiry, found out if it was lead gen or ecom, if they were running ads, then it went all the way through. It got the CID number, which is a PPC agency you would want. It then statement saying that it was underway, downloaded the conversation to Go High Level and stopped. Simple as that. There's a few different use cases in here, but we're going to go through them. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. That is where we're going to start. But before we do that, I have to show you a few things inside of here. Agents. Under agents, you have personas and workflows. Personas are your employees. Personas work for you. I have Sarah, who has beautiful red hair. And Sarah has some very basic instructions. You give your persona a name, you give it an image and a color if you so wish. I did. Then it needs information on how to respond. These are really concise. This is very generic, and this is perfectly fine. When you go to deployment, you might add a few things about establishing what, depending on your industry, like, is it urgent or not? You would have a few of these in here to give the employee a little bit more info. But for what we're going to do, and for what I just built there, that flow that had exactly this brief, and that's the power of CloseBot, because its AI is so good at determining what to ask next. So we go through. Then it's AI providers. You select AI providers. You add a new provider. You can do this from inside of the persona instead of doing it from the tab. So I just advise creating a persona off the bat straight away. And then, the final step of that was just, in fact, I'll show it you. The final step of that, next, is this. And it gives you an overview of exactly what your employee is. So she's concise, friendly, and sincere. She has no typos. You don't want to put that on. Providers in terms of what AI solutions you're using, and the response instructions. As easy as that. You've just hired your cheapest employee ever. Congratulations. Okay? So we've got that. Then what we have are sources attached. So these are job flows. And job flows have individual sources. And these sources, from my case, come from Go High Level, as you can see. You don't need to use Go High Level, but you probably should. Like, you need to be getting behind the wave of High Level, because it is so powerful as a CRM. It is a joke. Like, it just is the best. It's king. And so is CloseBot. It's king. Now, let's get into what I actually promised. And what we're going to do is we're going to use in fact, let me go back and we'll create this from scratch. I'm going to quickly, in fact, no, I'm not. I'll do that at the end. Let's build out this flow first. So this little plus icon on the side, these are the objectives. This is the simplest canvas and simplest builder you will ever use in your life. Do not be afraid. An objective is use objectives to gather information from a lead, optionally updating fields when finished. So you can update tags, fields you can create custom fields depending on your technical level, but we're not going to do any of that today. I'm going to show you the power of it. So an objective is what we want out of the inquiry. Well, an important thing to note about the way I'm structuring it is that Go High Level will send the first SMS. So that will just say, thank you for your inquiry. Can we ask a few questions about your inquiry? So that's where we're starting from. That's what that start icon is. It's already had one SMS. We're picking it up. What do? We click into the objective because we've dragged it onto the canvas, and we say, I'm going to use this. I asked AI for like a sort of introduction to this for contact us forms, Facebook ads, etc. It gave me a message. I'm not going to use that. Maybe in high level, I'll use something similar. But effectively, the job flow splits into buying and selling, and that's just the idea that I wanted. I wanted an idea, and then I'm going to do it off the dome. So when it comes down to this, the title is buy or sell, and it's as simple as this. Determine if contact first name is looking to buy a property or sell a property. Advanced settings, max attempts, set that at 2. I always have it at 2 or 3. You can have it at 3. Because you want to make sure that you're not just asking the same question repeatedly and burning an inquiry. If it doesn't answer after 3 attempts, just move on to the next question. You can add further objectives, so you can add multiple objectives to each one, but I just find that confuses things. There are use cases where you need to, but this isn't one of them. Buy or sell. This will now ask whether we're looking to buy or sell. So when it comes down to the test function's not been working, but let's see if we can get this to work. Let me publish. Let's just see. It's been doing this for the last few days in that test section, but you don't need to worry because you can test it in the conversion sections anyway. So buy or sell. When it comes down to buying or selling, determine if contact's first name is looking to buy a property or sell a property. So we determine that. Well, then what do we want? So once, let's say you're a real estate agent, you now know that the user wants to buy or they want to sell. Well, the messaging between each one is going to be different, isn't it? Like, it's going to be different. And I'm going to off the dome this. So if you're a realtor or a real estate agent, don't beat me down because I didn't ask a specific question. I'm doing this off the dome. I just got the idea from ChatGPT and went with it from there, from OpenAI, from AI Studio. This is a switch node. So we pull the switch in, and every time I do it, I'm going to show you. Use AI not checked. Switch to one of multiple conversation paths. So you add individual paths inside of here. Or you can tick this beautiful thing that says use AI to power the decision, and you can say determine if the inquiry is looking to buy a property or sell a property. And then we add 2 cases, looking to buy and looking to sell. Now we hit save. Then we're going to publish, and then we're just going to do something quickly that I didn't show with you there. So publish. It's published. I might have to do it again when I do this. But selecting Sarah, save and close. So Sarah's the persona. I'm going to publish it again. Sarah, the persona that I showed you, is the one that I'm going to use for this. Okay, great. So now what do we need? Well, we need multiple objectives now because this is a switch. So it's going to go down 2 different routes. Very like this. Went down 2 different routes. Is currently running ads, is not currently running ads. We're going to do exactly the same thing, but with is looking to buy, is looking to sell. Let me just publish again. And let me just refresh because CloseBot does have a habit of falling short when it comes to the switch node. Like, it's very strange, but you can't seem to drag them. So here we are. So this guy's looking to buy, add an objective, pull another objective in, looking to sell. And then you drag both in because it's the same thing. We've only got 2 cases. So looking to sell. So looking to buy and looking to sell. We have 2 different flows now. So now, if they're looking to buy, we want to add an objective. So the title is, have you found a property you like? Determine, title is the title of the node. the description is what you're trying to get it to do using AI. Determine if the user has found a property already. Advanced settings, max attempts at 2, save. And I think we should build out the top flow first instead of going between each flow, so it makes more sense. So have you found a property you like? So they're going to say yes. They're going to say yes or no. But what we don't want to get involved in is too many switch nodes. So I'm going to add another objective. In production, you'd probably add another switch node there. Definitely, or either that or a true or false node to try and get the answers. But when it comes down to this, add an objective. So they found the property you like. Mortgage approval. Have they received a mortgage approval for what are they called? Pre-mortgage approval. I'm going to call it that. It might not be that. Don't bite my head off if it isn't. I'm showing you how to build a flow here, not how to build a real estate business. Well, I am, but not showing you how to. The exact questions could be technically wrong. Mortgage approval, and then what we can do is we can then say maybe we add a booking. Do we conversationally books appointments to your calendar? We can have. Do we want to do a booking? I don't know. So the mortgage has been approved. Then we want to make a switch. Let's say this real estate agent also has a mortgage broker that they can use. So this switch is titled mortgage approved or not. And the reason why you can have multiple objectives back to back, you might think, well, they found a property they like. Well, this could be built out for a broker. This could be built out for a real estate agent. It could be a property of theirs. Are we, we could add another step in there. But basically, this information gets passed back to Go High Level to ultimately end up with a sales representative on the other end. So that's the way we're going with it. All this information's not wasted by asking these questions. Mortgage approval, switch. Mortgage approved or not. Use AI. Determine if the user has found a property they like and has mortgage approval. That's not going to work. Has a mortgage approval. Case. The reason that wasn't going to work, by the way, was because there was more variations than 2, and we would have ended up with more, like, a crazy amount of switches, and that's not what we're here for. We need to help you learn. So case name has mortgage pre-approved. Case name doesn't have mortgage pre-approved. Save. Publish. So it's published now. Save. I just find that when it comes to switch nodes, like when you're refreshing the page, it has an auto-save feature now, which is really cool. But when it comes to this, it's you have to have that. So this is an objective node that's just hanging around. So has mortgage pre-approved. Drag another one. Does not have mortgage pre-approved. So for this particular use case, what I'm going to say is that here we're going to add a conversation node because I want to show it to you. And this conversation node is going to say, tell them that we can help with mortgage approval through a third party. 'Cause I'm sure that's how they operate. They get a kickback from mortgage brokers for approval through a third party. For a third party. And we'll be in touch shortly. Save. Now, this is where we do some cute stuff. So I don't think that a real estate agent would burn an inquiry that they didn't have a pre-approved mortgage. It's pretty normal. But I wanted to show the branches to you. Now, I haven't given this an objective. So, need help with mortgage. Ask if they'd like help getting pre-approval. Save. And then it'll go into a conversation. Tell them that we can help with mortgage and put them through to a third party and we'll be in touch. Now, this is the beautiful thing about CloseBot. I said that we would only be using the top 6. I was lying. Because the most powerful node that you can have inside of here is a custom scenario. And the reason for this is this. This is now at a dead end in the flow. Okay? It's having a conversation about mortgage, presuming they've got a mortgage department, whatever, however you want to shape it. Well, what we want to do is the title of this is gets approval. And then we want to say user says they have pre-approval for mortgage. Advanced settings, leave them as they are, save. And we connect this custom scenario to there. And the reason why we do that is that this means that if the user goes down that doesn't have a pre-approved route, we've lost them forever. Right? They're gone because the flow ends there. The custom scenario is watching conversations to see when a user says they've got pre-approval. And if they have pre-approval, like here, has mortgage pre-approved, they go to this objective. This watches for their individual conversations to make sure that when they do get pre-approval, or if they come back and say, oh, actually, no, we do have pre-approval up to 400k to be able to purchase a home, it picks it back up and adds it back into the flow, which is critical. You need to use them. So I can't explain how important custom scenarios are. If you just let your inquiry die here, you just end up with a backwards and forwards SMS. Someone has to manually pick it up. So here, so they've got pre-approval. And then we say, I don't know, let's add a booking. And this is using my Go High Level calendar. Believe that it's set up properly. Put these through here. Calendar name, PPC Giants call calendar. AI generating booking title. Booking. Book a 20-minute appointment with the contact. So they've got mortgage approved. Book a 20-minute contact with them. Advanced settings, extra prompt. Ensure that we explain the appointment is free. Let's say that. So tag to set if booking failed. You can add individual tags. You can create custom values and things, but we're not going to. We're just going to do that. It's conversationally booked. Book the appointment, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stop responding, because once they book the appointment, appointment is free. Don't move to next stage until appointment is booked. Save. Okay, so now we go back to the looking to sell. Okay, so then we go and we add an objective. And so if they're looking to sell, they have the objective, they're looking to sell. Is the property on the market? Do you currently have an agent? do you currently have an agent trying to sell your property for you? Save. Then we're going to come back here. And should we have used this? Use AI to power the decision. Description for AI. Agent or not. So I hope you understand. With this is an educational video. I don't want retention to be poor because I'm building like in real time. What we're working on here is a masterclass. I'm not saying that this is exactly the flow you would deploy for a real estate agent, but how long have you been watching me for? It's not long at all, and I'm building out these and deploying these flows. This is very soon going to be complete, and then we're going to test it, and I'll put my phone on the screen. I'll have to pause recording while I get the screen recorder on my phone. But when I do, we'll test the form and the SMS. And then from there, we'll be able to gauge its success rate and any further issues. But you can see the power, surely. Like, if you cannot see the power in this, we've just built a flow that automatically, conversationally books meetings into a calendar from an inquiry that comes through. Nuts. Like, absolutely crazy. So, you know, most businesses do nothing. They sit on their inquiry and they literally just wait for magic to happen. They've got a couple of sales reps they pay big salaries to. They're focused on the commission side of things. They're not focused on your business, and that is a big problem for business owners. So, do you currently have an agent? Agent or not? Description for AI. Determine if they have an agent currently selling their property. If they do, it's true. If they don't, it's false. Save. So do they have an agent or not? So if they have an agent, we pull this here. Let me get rid of this. I don't think we need it. Get rid of this. We have an agent here. So if it's true, then we go here. And then we say, how long has your property been on the market? I'm just assuming these are things that people would want, like to like in their flow. You have to forgive me for that because I'm not a real estate agent. I'm building something on the fly, literally off the cusp. And yeah, so another objective. They don't have an agent. They don't have an agent. Let's go straight to a booking. So I just think that it makes sense here. If they don't have an agent already, calendar name, PPC Giants. I know you won't call it that. Don't worry. Book a 20-minute appointment with the contact to discuss property in more detail, and then arrange a follow-up valuation. I'm assuming that's what you would do. You'd book a follow-up valuation. Maybe you would go straight to this. Extra prompt. Be very friendly, and remember that this is all free of charge. Don't know if that's what you would say, but so they've gone to a booking. How long's it been on the market for? Then we want to, what else could we do to do something? We want to go through, we want to put a statement in here. Use statements to say something to the lead that can move on to a certain stage. So the statement is, thanks for inquiring. We'll move on to the next. Move on accordingly, and we'll speak to you in our meeting. Link of images to send. You can send images. Like You can, yeah. There's so many things you can do. It's crazy. So I wonder if I can pull this from here. Stop responding to here. Yeah. No, you can't. So by stopping responding, I'm going to remove that node because that stop responding can be at the end. So they've made the booking. Thanks for making the booking. We look forward to speaking with you. I don't want to put an agreed time because I don't want to put too much pressure on it. How long's it been on the market for? Then we want a booking to get them to book in. How long's it been on the market for? No, do you know what? We're going to do this. True or false? And what we're going to do is we're going to connect, or we're going to try and connect these nodes, Mike. And we're going to go in here and we're going to title this over 6 months. Use AI to generate. Determine if the property has been on the market for 6 months or more. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking like a business, basically. I could have done this a lot more basic, but determine if the market has been on the market 6 months or more. If it has, it's true. If it hasn't, it's false. And the reason I'm doing this is because if a property's been on the market for more than 6 months, we can say to them here in another objective. So did I say true? Determine if the property's been on the market for 6 months or more. If it has, it's true. So if it's been on the market for that, an objective here, that's too long. Encourage the contact not to be disheartened, and that we take a very unique approach to property sales and rarely see properties on the market that are priced properly not sold inside 4 months. So I'm thinking about it as a business, like, okay, so you want to tap into the fact that that's too long for them. It's too long for them to have been on the market for. Now, it could be because it's overpriced. It could be because they're asking too much. It could be the customer's fault. But we're trying to finesse them into becoming an inquiry. So if it hasn't been if it hasn't been like that, then we just say something generic. No, in fact, we'll just go straight to booking. So we've done the sales part there. Like we've tried to get them there. So we want to have. Why am I blind? Where is it? Why can't I see this? That was on the screen. I know it. Tell me in the comments where that was, because that was definitely on the screen, but for some reason I just couldn't see it. Booking. Close this down. So that's too long. Don't be disheartened. The booking node, calendar name, PPC Giants. Title, booking. Just leave it as that. Book a 20-minute appointment with the contact, showing confidence in our ability to sell their property once we have more information. Save. Now so that's too long. We say encourage the contact not to price properly, not sold inside of 4 months. Then drag that to the statement, drag this to the statement, and then here we want to download the conversation, save the conversation. Did I put anything in here yet? Yeah, thanks for making a booking. Then we want to save the conversation, and then we want to stop responding. And there we have a better flow than probably 85% of the real estate agents in the country. And I've just done it with no research from my brain. Don't get me wrong, there'll be holes in it. Using booking systems everywhere is not usually ideal, but it'll conversationally book the meeting with me. And right now, I'm going to pause this recording, and then I'm going to come back when live on screen. My phone is actively being taken from them. There is something that I should show just before that, and it's this form. And this is the Lovells is the name of an estate agent, so let me just call it estate agent test SMS form. Now, this is something that you build in Go High Level that you shouldn't concern yourself about, because whether you're using Go High Level or not is up to you. But yeah, we'll save that trigger. This just goes through, assigns users, sends follow-up email. This is where I need you to tell me if you want me to create you a video on Go High Level installation too, because I'm not going to go through too much detail. So I'm back, and it's looking a little bit darker because my youngest daughter had a dentist appointment the first time that she's been twice, but let's not talk about the first time. Here is the exact conversation that I've just had two-way SMS with the agent that we've just deployed. You can see it automatically triggers. I give it a positive response. We then go backwards and forwards for a few individual things. Ultimately, the booking system then kicks in. So it qualified me for mortgages, etc. The booking system then kicks in. I told it 10 a.m. Once I told it 10 a.m., it basically ended the call. We're looking forward to receiving your chat. Now, the reason why it ended the call there is because inside of our closed bot flow, we had a stop feature here. So we stopped it replying. Like, once it had gone through the whole thing, we downloaded the conversation and it stopped replying. Here you could replace that with a conversation agent that allows it to go backwards and forwards. But when you think about SMS spends, it just depends. A lot of people do use these stop features once it's done. The meeting's booked. That's it. But you might think customer service wise, maybe they ask a few more questions, whatever. The fact is that we knocked this together in this video in the space of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I could probably have done it in about 15 minutes if I wasn't presenting. So we have everything that we need. Going back to Go High Level, this is the conversation, and this is why Go High Level is so strong, because it tracks the conversations. You can interject at any point. You could send a text message to myself effectively now. You could do that. But if you go top right here, you can see that the PPC Giants call calendar is now confirmed. So the 10 a.m. call that I booked in the conversation, 10 a.m. works for me, is there, ready and available. Now, that's the end of the video because I've done all of the build with you. I've completed everything that we needed to do during that period of time. You are now fully fledged to be able to go and build something in CloseBot and have an understanding of it. But I need something from you. I need you to like this video, subscribe, but mainly I need you to comment. One, if you're interested in a detailed Go High Level video that's mixed in with CloseBot. Or two, which is a really big idea, I have an idea to launch a business from scratch, like a local business, carpet fitting business, where I fund everything, the ad spend. We go on a bit of a journey together, and I literally build everything out, including the Google Ads account. And then we launch, and I'll show you the leads that are generated, how they are handled, and I build effectively a fake business. Realistically, that's going to cost me in the region of 3 to 5K. So it's got to be worth 10 seconds of you putting a comment below to tell me that that's what you want, because unless there's quite a few people that tell me that they want me to do it, I'm obviously not going to do it. But I'd be game for it. I'm interested in it. My name's Michael Elliott. Catch you in the next one.